Okay, so I'm really excited because today I will be talking about a movie that I've been obsessed with essentially my entire life. I got it on DVD as a birthday present, I think when I was around 10-ish, and it serves as an entry point into my love of fashion and costume design as a child. So just a disclaimer, this video will probably be quite long and a little bit rambly, so get comfortable. Okay, let's get into some background information. 13 Going on 30 is a 2004 romantic comedy directed by Gary Winnick. The story centers around Jenna Rink, a 13-year-old girl who experiences an embarrassing incident during her birthday party. Wishing to be a 30-year-old woman, she wakes up as her future self, a successful and fashionable magazine editor portrayed by Jennifer Garner. As Jenna adjusts her new life as a 30-year-old, she finds herself with her new best friend and co-worker Lucy, who was a mean girl at her school and a classmate of hers when she was 13 years old. Lucy becomes Jenna's companion and accompanies her to work at Poise, a fashion magazine that Jenna idolized in her teenage years. However, Jenna realizes she has lost touch with her childhood best friend, Matt Flamhath, played by Mark Ruffalo. Determined to reconnect with Matt, Jenna navigates the complexities of adulthood, facing the consequences of the decisions she made and values she held as a 13-year-old. Throughout the movie, Jenna learns valuable life lessons about friendship, love, and authenticity. She discovers that her glamorous adult life lacks true fulfillment and yearns for the genuine relationships she neglected. As she tries to rectify her past mistakes, Jenna realizes the importance of childhood and the people who truly cared about her, including Matt, who she has had feelings for, and he has always low-key been in love with her too. Jenna is determined to make amends and rebuild her relationship with Matt. However, their reconnection poses a dilemma as Matt is engaged to be married to Wendy. Despite having been in love with Jenna since he was a child, he's not willing to throw away the relationship he has built with Wendy. Recognizing the emptiness in her adult life and the significance of her childhood friendships, she makes a bold choice to give up her life as a magazine editor. Well, to be honest, her career was already pretty much destroyed and returned to being a 13-year-old. The film concludes with Jenna and Matt getting married and living happily ever after. They settle into a pink house almost identical to the dollhouse Matt makes for Jenna when they were 13. Despite its release in 2004, 13 Going on 30 continues to be very influential even today. In recent years, the film has gained attention due to TikTok trends. I feel like everything I talk about these days is somehow connected to TikTok, but alas. And it's also been in the zeitgeist a lot because of this questionable Shein reproduction of the Versace dress worn in one of the movie's most recognizable scenes. The enduring appeal of the film's costume design can only be attributed to the brilliance of Susie DeSanto. DeSanto is a highly prolific costume designer known for her work on films like Miss Congeniality, The Black Book, and White Oleander. White Oleander is the only film I just mentioned that I haven't watched, but it seems like that may be her best work. I've seen a lot of stills of the film on Pinterest and Instagram and things, and it looks so good. Like, the costume design looks incredible. It's definitely on my watch list. Her collaboration with Jennifer Garner specifically has spanned over 2 decades and includes projects like 13 Going on 30, of course, The Invention of Lying, Butter, The Odd Life of Timothy Green, Yesterday, and The Last Thing He Told Me, which was released just this year.
She has such a beautiful sense of character, of color, of fun, of fashion, and she brought all of that into play on 13 Going on 30.
As for the director, Gary Winnick, his filmography includes Bride Wars, Letters to Juliet, and Charlotte's Web. This is kind of surprising because I've listened to his director's commentary for this film, which was his first big budget production, and he expresses a lot of frustration about many things that came with working for a studio and doing a big studio film. So it's interesting that he went on to be such a studio darling. Winnick's upbringing with a fashion-orientated mother and his familiarity with high-end fashion likely contributed to the authenticity of the film's costuming, as it's a very fashion-focused film.
Get it that handbags can cost $3,000-$4,000. I know that's a lot of money, and it's kind of embarrassing to say, but you know, not only have I spent that type of money on fashion, but I kind of know that this character would.
And Gary knows all these labels. He knows it all, you know. Oh yeah, that's Prada. He never would wear that.
The costuming in 13 Going on 30 is definitely reflective of the early 2000s fashion trend. However, there are also influences from the 1980s as a portion of the movie is set in 1987. It is important to note that Jenna's character is essentially a 13-year-old trapped in the body of a 30-year-old. Her fashion choices, despite being on trend for the time, are from the perspective of a 13-year-old from 1987. Jenna's fashion evolution mirrors her emotional and psychological transformation as she navigates the complexities of adulthood and learns important life lessons. It symbolizes her transition from 13-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old body to a person who has grown and gained wisdom and has embraced her true self. In both periods, the 2000s and the 80s, there was a strong emphasis on accessories such as earrings, neckties, bangles, all of which are used in the film. In the 2000s, fashion was characterized by maximalism, similar to the trends of the 1980s. This is unrelated to the movie, but it is something I discovered while researching the 80s revival that took place in the 2000s. Does anyone remember the headband trend that occurred in the 2000s, popularized by artists like Nelly? It always felt so random to me, but I learned that it was just a reinterpretation of the activewear trend that happened in the 80s. Of course, there are many other examples of 80s trends that made a resurgence in the early 2000s, but that is all to say that fashion is cyclical and runs on a 20 to 30-year-old clock and has been running this way for decades. It's just that we are all so much more cognizant of it now. So this is why it really gets to me when people get upset about Gen Z or Gen Alpha drawing influences from earlier decades like the 90s or the 2000s. Anyway, back to 13 Going on 30. In terms of the color scheme, shades of pink, blue, purple, green, burgundy, and yellow were all prevalent. The film effectively utilizes these colors as a consistent thread through the costume design, with Jenna's costuming and also Lucy's. Speaking of Lucy, I haven't brought her up much. One main reason I wanted to cover this movie is because of the relationship that exists between Lucy and Jenna, which is intrinsically expressed through their costuming. Their outfits together become a narrative device conveying a story in its own right, which is why I will be going scene by scene when I talk about this movie, because I really want to look at their outfits in conversation with one another. So naturally, we will be beginning with a scene that Lucy is not even in. Okay, so it's 1987, it's picture day for Jenna. She's depicted wearing a pink and purple short sleeve jumper, and she accessorizes with an Alice band, pink studs, a pink watch, and grey trainers. The outfit and the color scheme reflect the popular pastel soft shades of pink, blue, and purple prevalent during this era. These colors serve as a visual cue to immediately establish the time period. The other girls in the scene also follow the same color scheme, but their outfits appear more girly and fashion-forward, incorporating layering, tiered skirts, and trendy accessories. These fashion choices reflect the prevalent fashion trends of the 1980s, and when contrasting with Jenna's outfits, effectively convey her nerdy and non-popular status. On to the next scene, we are introduced to Lucy, who at this point in the movie is still going by the nickname Tom Tom. It becomes immediately apparent that she is a mean girl. She gets that whole hallway walk-in scene reminiscent of Clueless, Jawbreaker, and Mean Girls, which really establishes to us, the audience, that she is the head bitch in charge. Lucy's outfit consists of a denim vest cinched at the waist with a belt paired with a polka dot skirt. Notably, Susie DeSanto incorporated elements like black denim and a neon pink fishnet top, adding a edgier touch to her ensemble. Throughout the whole film, Lucy's overall style always leans slightly darker, edgier, and almost grungier compared to Jenna's. In this scene, Jenna wears a jumper with little love hearts and carries a rainbow backpack. Jenna looks like a typical 13-year-old compared to Lucy and the other 6 chicks who are all very fashionable. The absence of the backpack is commonly seen as a characteristic of the cool girl in movies and TV. I remember when I was younger, around their age, I went through a phase of always trying to get those Primark, like big leather bags for school, despite how undurable they were. I think I was probably influenced by this trope of the cool girl never wearing a backpack. Let me know if you can also relate to that, because I think that was a lot of people, especially in the UK. Jenna's fashion choices further emphasize her contrasting nature compared to Lucy's. She wears a lot of tucked in knits and jumpers, suggesting her preference for cozy and comfortable clothing, which for some reason in film and TV is always associated with being more uncool. Accentuate the contrast between the two girls, Jenna keeps her accessories minimal, wearing only earrings, while the 6 chicks have more elaborate adornments. The 6 chicks scrunchies stand out to me. They were really popular in the 80s. Well-known celebrities such as Janet Jackson, Paula Abdul, Demi Moore, and Sarah Jessica Parker were all seen wearing them. Jenna isn't wearing one in the scene, which further emphasizes that she isn't part of the in-group. Lucy exudes confidence despite her outfit's inherent 80s-ness. It is still very cute and well-tailored. She wears a matching scrunchie, a necktie, bangles, matching nail polish, and displays a high level of coordination and accessorization. Interestingly, all the 6 chicks are wearing high-top Converse, a popular shoe choice in the 1980s, frequently seen in music videos, films, and pop culture of the time. This choice highlights their fashion awareness and places Jenna as someone who is not as informed or in the know about current trends.
Acid wash denim and high tops with different colored shoelaces. But Jenna doesn't have any tennis shoes that are cool enough to wear, so she wears like her dress-up shoes. She just totally misses the boat.
Jenna wears an A-line skirt paired with a bejeweled Bordeaux top. She accessorizes with a scrunchie, signaling her desire to emulate the 6 chicks style. Also, I love how the film subverts the expectation and the common film trope that simply by dressing better, this will lead to better treatment from others. In film and TV, there's this phenomenon that we often see where a glow-up or simply wearing trendier clothes will instantly change your life circumstances. Although I do believe in fashion as a means of self-expression and a way to gain confidence within yourself, just isn't the reality that simply being more trendy will totally change your social standing. At least that wasn't my experience growing up. I feel like these scenes in rom-coms often send a weird message to children in asking them to conform rather than dressing how they want or expressing themselves how they feel most comfortable. So it's really refreshing to me that this film doesn't do that, and in many ways shows the negative consequences that come with changing yourself for others. Jenna wakes up as a 30-year-old woman and is seen wearing a pink satin slip dress, along with a sleep mask, which is an amazing touch, by the way, as it has the same pattern as Lucy's scarf, which was tied around Jenna's eyes in the previous scene. The colors white, pink, purple, blue, green, and burgundy are all prominently featured in jewel tones. These colors become very important to the film's storytelling and are heavily associated with Jenna's journey. This transformation represents Jenna achieving her desired life at the age of 30. As she leaves her apartment, despite being scared and disheveled, Jenna still manages to look great because of her amazing wardrobe. She adds a polka dot Nanette Lepore coat, silver strappy heels, and a silver mama bag. The coordination of her bag and heels are significant as they serve as a callback to the bed scene, where we see silver sequin fabric on the bed. Visually, the fabric represents the wishing dust. In universe, I think this might have been a dress that 30-year-old Jenna was wearing the night before. In the context of the film, I think this is meant to be a bad outfit for Jenna, but I disagree.
Jenna? Sweetheart, are we going for a look or did we get dressed before we showered this morning?
In my research, I read that Susie DeSanto, the costume designer, was encouraged by Fendi to incorporate their products into the film. With Jenna kind of being comparable to Carrie from Sex and the City, Susie's choice of using a Fendi bag in the film is even more significant. Instead of opting for the classic baguette bag, which is associated with Carrie, they cleverly chose to use a mama bag, which adds a distinct touch to Jenna's character. This clever costume design creates a parallel between the two characters while still maintaining a unique identity for Jenna. In this scene, we're introduced to 30-year-old Lucy. She is seen wearing a green leather jacket, an early 2000s staple, black low-rise trousers paired with a matching black crop top. This establishes Lucy as the cool girl, showcasing her edgier style compared to Jenna's more girly aesthetic. The difference in vibes between Jenna and Lucy is immediately apparent. It seems that in this timeline, Lucy often plays second fiddle to Jenna, who was the prom queen and went on to replace her as a leader of the 6 chicks. And at work, Jenna is seemingly preferred to Lucy by their boss, Richard. While in the 1980s, Lucy may have worn girlier colors sometimes, her current style embraces darker elements, perhaps as a way of setting herself apart from Jenna, as it is clear that in this universe, Jenna is more successful and in many ways dominates Lucy. Her annoyance towards Jenna is evident, and I imagine that their previous dynamic very much gave frenemies. There have been a lot of articles about the fact that the living room Jenna has in the future timeline is identical to the one featured in the Poise magazine when she was younger. One aspect that often goes unnoticed is the similarities between the closets. And additionally, the choice to put Jenna in a robe that closely resembles the one worn by the model in the magazine creates a poignant and symbolic moment. It's a beautiful way to tie the past and the present together, showcasing Jenna's personal growth and the realization of her dreams. As Jenna gets ready to attend the party, she has everything that she has ever desired materially. Her closet is a testament to her wealth, featuring notable designer brands and luxury items. There are recognizable pieces from brands like Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and she has a wall filled with mostly Manolo blonnets. Manolos also hold cultural significance again due to their association with Sex and the City.
And your Manolo blonnets.
There is a lot of ties between Sex and the City and this film in terms of the costume design, I think, because this film was created in 2004. Sex and the City ended in 2003 or 2004 as well. So I think this film really builds on the aesthetics of fashion that were really established by Sex and the City. And also this is pre-economic collapse of 2007. So it's all very maximal, more is more, at least at the beginning of the movie. In a deleted scene, Jenna wears an ensemble that appears to be from the Christian Dior Spring-Summer 2003 collection. This outfit unfortunately did not make it to the final cut of the movie. I'm so sad that the corset didn't get more screen time, but I understand that she probably would not have been able to wear this to the party, so... The most iconic Jenna look in the film features a Versace dress from the Spring 2003 collection. The collection has also notably been worn by celebrities like Beyonce in the Crazy in Love music video and subsequent performances, as well as Zendaya, who wore a longer version of Beyonce's dress. And we can't forget about Ariana Grande, who wore an almost identical dress to Jenna's in 2021. This dress cleverly showcases all of Jenna's signature colors that were introduced to us earlier through the headband and the sleep mask. She exudes such happiness and confidence in this scene, and she references fashion trends of the 1980s by choosing a dress that features color blocking and heavily accessorizing. This choice serves as a nod to her younger self and also the influence of young Lucy in shaping her current sense of style. Lucy is seen wearing a satin lace two-piece outfit paired with black strappy heels. Richard described her look as dangerous mermaid, which aligns with the siren-like quality that she exudes. In the scene, Lucy's annoyance with Jenna is apparent and palpable. The use of green in her wardrobe, which is associated with envy, really fits her character, as we will see as the film progresses. 30-year-old Lucy opts for a more minimalistic approach to accessorizing, letting her outfit kind of speak for itself. Susie DeSanto doesn't give Lucy the same level of notable brand placement as Jenna. Like, she wears no designer bags, no labels, no recognizable prints or patterns, which emphasizes the overlooked presence of her character. The character of Lucy, to me, draws comparisons to Emily from The Devil Wears Prada. Other than having similar color stories, Lucy, like Emily, can be seen as a villainous character. Also sad to see how Lucy is treated in comparison with Jenna. Both Emily and Lucy are highly competent and dedicated to their jobs with high work ethic, but are consistently overlooked in favor of the protagonist. In this scene, we see Jenna experiencing moments of joy and self-discovery, which include scenes of her going shopping for new clothes, going to the park, and watching films. She has various outfit changes. The first outfit, which is also used in some of the promotional material, features Jenna in a polka dot sundress with red strappy heels. She completes the look with red sunglasses and drop earrings. Patterns such as polka dot flowers, stripes are all canon for Jenna. The polka dots particularly serve as a callback to her 13-year-old self, who wore a polka dot skirt during her party, although the outfit does showcase a more trendy 2000s interpretation. Speaking about creating Jenna's wardrobe, Susie DeSanto says, Jenna as an adult works at a fabulous fashion magazine. These women who work at these places are obsessed with labels, up-to-the-minute clothes, like they don't ever wear anything more than one season. While in reality I do not agree with this practice, I admire Susie DeSanto's commitment to accuracy here. Every item of clothing that Jenna wears in the film, as far as I can tell, is from the year 2003 when the movie was filmed. With that being said, it's very fitting that she is shopping in this scene. The use of this particular look in the film's promotional material with the tagline, "A comedy for the kid in all of us," speaks to the central themes of the movie, as it signifies a blend of 13-year-old and 30-year-old Jenna. In the second look of the montage, Jenna wears a floral pattern blouse paired with a yellow skirt and striped pattern wedges. She also styles her hair with butterfly clips, which was a popular way teenagers styled their hair in the 90s and 2000s. So Jenna's attraction to these elements of self-expression really reflects her youthful mindset and desire to embrace more vibrant and playful styles. The color palette of pink, yellow, and white used in Jenna's outfit signifies happiness and joy. Now, this was my favorite look of Jenna's growing up. In this scene, Jenna watches a film, From Here to Eternity, as she sits on her bed indulging in Cheetos and popcorn. I love the addition of the fur trim on the cami top. It's not an early 2000s movie if there's no fur trim, in my opinion, so this was obviously perfect. Jenna's hair here is very early 2000s. Despite being her most mature look, I really appreciate that they always infuse Jenna's appearance with a playful twist. In the scene, I feel like Jenna's really projecting what she believes she should be wearing, likely influenced by Lucy's fashion choices. This is evident in her decision to wear darker tones and even a leather jacket reminiscent of the one Lucy was wearing when we first met her. If you're a fan of vintage fashion, you may have recently observed the transition from the collared leather jacket, which was more associated with the 90s, to the collarless leather jacket, which became more popular during the early to mid 2000s. Her choice of attire really aligns with the moment that she finds herself in, and it conveys a feeling of confidence.
To mention Biatch, the hottest magazine editor in the world.
This is my least favorite Lucy outfit, which is funny because Judy Greer has said that it's one of her favorite looks of the film. However, one element I did appreciate was the L necklace, which becomes even funnier in the context of the scene. Matt intentionally calls Lucy Tom Tom, knowing that she dislikes it and is also literally wearing an L necklace. It's worth noting that the nameplate necklace initially emerged within Black and Latinx communities as a way to proudly display pride in their non-Anglican names. Again, I feel like the costume designer Susie DeSanto is drawing a lot from Sex and the City here, because following the craze of Sex and the City, the popularity of the nameplate necklace skyrocketed with non-Black and Latin American consumers, largely attributed to Carrie and her famous Carrie necklace. And interestingly enough, the incorporation of the necklace in the show was down to children of color that Patricia Fields, the stylist of Sex and the City, observed in her neighborhood wearing similar pieces. Even though this fact is kind of common knowledge at this point, I just thought it was important to call attention to this, because oftentimes POC are not given the credit for the influences that they have in pop culture. In this scene, it seems like we really start to address the relationship tension between the women, and this is reflected in the costuming choices. While they still adhere to their respective signature silhouettes and pieces that we would typically associate with their character, there are notable differences in terms of color and pattern. Lucy wears a yellow midi skirt paired with a floral top and a bomber jacket, which is very unexpected for her. She, of course, doesn't stray too far as she opts to pair it with a mauve pink collarless jacket, which aligns with her aesthetic due to the silhouette of the jacket and the earthier tones of the pink. But it is intriguing that she chooses colors and patterns that we would typically associate with Jenna. This choice may be a subconscious response to the constant favoring of Jenna and her ideas by others, which we literally see happen in this scene. And it's fitting that this is the outfit that she wears when Jenna overhears her mocking her and speaking badly about her to their co-workers. Jenna's outfit, on the other hand, features khaki and beige tones, which is interesting because these colors are typically associated with Lucy. Jenna is dressed in a Dolce & Gabbana-esque early 2000s bustier with matching khaki tailored cargos. She is carrying a Dior Admit It bag. According to a commentary track on the DVD by one of the producers, which I wish I could play, but I think it would be copyright stricken if I did, it was mentioned that in this scene, Jenna purposely dresses in what she perceives to be the most fashionable outfit. She even makes the choice to wear the chopsticks in her hair because she's once again referencing that magazine that she was reading at the beginning of the film. This version of Jenna is still striving to embody the idea of a thirsty, flirty, and thriving fashion girl that she was sold by Poise when she was 13. Also, I just wanted to add that I'm not in support of Jenna wearing chopsticks in her hair in this way. I do feel like it is culturally insensitive and probably isn't a decision that would be made if the film came out today. Returning to the theme of Jenna's aspiration to embody this image of successfulness, I do think it was an intentional choice by the costume designer to dress Jenna in khaki green, as it shows Jenna is still taking her cues from Lucy about what she thinks she should be wearing. As we progress with the story, we are going to see Jenna become less influenced by her relationship with Lucy and more influenced by other relationships in her life. After coming to the realization that the 30-year-old version of herself is not a good person and lacks genuine friendship and relationship, Jenna makes the decision to reach out to Matt. It's interesting to observe that as Jenna experiences sadness, she gravitates back towards her signature colors and embraces knits, reminiscent of her childhood wardrobe. I love the idea of her character seeking comfort through connection and also through her clothing, because I know that this is definitely something that I myself do. Also, this cardigan, I remember during one of my many rewatches of this movie, I think in 2021, I rediscovered this cardigan and went on a hunt to find one similar. I did, and it's still one of the most treasured pieces in my wardrobe till this day. So thank you to Susie DeSanto for that. In this particular moment, Jenna finds herself at her lowest point. Despite her sadness, there is a notable consistency in her fashion choices, particularly her affinity for her signature colors. I feel like a broken record saying signature colors all the time, but purple is one of them, and it emerges as a prominent symbol of Jenna's connection to her true self and representing her personal identity. I love the commitment of the costume design team to maintaining a consistent color story throughout the film. Also, I want to dig further into Jenna and knitwear. Jenna reverts to her beloved knitwear during this period, and from this point, we see a lot more knitwear pieces being featured on her.
Kind of get in touch with her sweetness and stuff like that. We started using a lot of pink and really pretty soft fabrics that Jenna, as a 13-year-old, would actually pick out.
As I said before, I think knitwear holds a special significance for her because it evokes a sense of comfort and nostalgia from her childhood, which she quite literally just left behind. At this stage, we have seen Jenna constantly reference and draw inspiration from other people and how they choose to dress and present, but by returning to knits, Jenna finds solace in familiarity and draws inspiration from herself and who she used to be. These scenes are really a turning point for Jenna in terms of her character development, and this is very well portrayed through these styling choices. Susie DeSanto, the costume designer, made a deliberate decision to dress Lucy and Jenna in contrasting tones, highlighting their diverging paths. Of course, throughout the movie, their fashion choices have always showcased their distinctive styles, but the specific choice to put Lucy in such a striking red coat and Jenna in soft pink tones was definitely purposeful. I think it really foreshadows the different approaches that they are going to take in their pitches for the Poise redesign. When Jenna goes to Matt's photo shoot, her outfit choice of a Ralph Lauren corset and a yellow midi skirt is an elevated version of this outfit, which she wore at one of her happiest points during the film. It in many ways illustrates a return to form for Jenna. However, Jenna's styling has become more conservative and mature, losing some of its playful and youthful elements. For instance, she replaces the butterfly clips in her hair with a more sophisticated half up, half down hairstyle. Additionally, she opts for a bag that bears a striking resemblance to the LL Bean tote, although I do not believe that it is the exact bag. The LL Bean tote carries a rich American heritage and is closely associated with the all-American aesthetic. Its popularity has endured as it's very much associated with notable fashion figures like Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, and recently the bag has experienced a resurgence as a staple of the clean girl, that girl, and quiet luxury aesthetics. Therefore, the decision to dress Jenna in such a similar bag, although this was 20 years ago, it still signifies the direction her character styling is going to take, showcasing a shift towards a more mature and pulled back look. As her relationship with Matt deepens and she independently develops and grows as a character, her looks subtly take on a 60s-inspired aesthetic with a modern, early 2000s interpretation. Jenna wears a floral ribbon top by Chloe, paired with a Godette-style skirt adorned with floral appliques. She accessorizes with a Louis Vuitton Vernus Lexington pochette bag and opts for more delicate design features, embracing a floral motif without the embellishments that we previously saw. This shift in style is a departure from the Jenna that we originally met. She transitions from a wardrobe that was heavily influenced by brands like Dior and Versace to embracing a classic aesthetic associated with brands like Ralph Lauren and Chloe. Okay, we finally get another Lucy outfit. Lucy is definitely power dressing here in her gorgeous swamp green pinstripe suit paired with a burgundy top adorned with golden O-ring embellishments. Her overall look here is very reminiscent of 90s Prada to me, or like French Archive. It's very Marthe A. Francois Gabold in its vibe. Popularity of the dark swampy green color palette was evident on the runway during the fall 2003 season, with designers like Stella McCartney, Parenzo Scula, Valentino, and even Ralph Lauren all incorporating similar shades into their collections. Lucy's choice to wear such a striking look perfectly matches the intensity of her presentation. Personally, I find Lucy's redesign pitch much more appealing. I understand that the plot dictates that Jenna wins, but I feel like they should have done a better job at making Lucy's presentation more terrible. Jenna's outfit and pitch couldn't be any more different from Lucy's. She's wearing a pink cardigan set, and the top has a little heart embellishment paired with a Marc Jacobs skirt from his spring 2003 collection. To me, she gives elevated fashionable Miss Honey from Matilda here. With her cardigan and also her hair, they have the exact same hairstyle. The overall look exudes a sense of approachable charm and sweetness, which is also reflected in her redesign pitch. It's all very down to earth in its approach, well, apart from the Hermes Kelly that she grabs on her way out of the building, but let's not talk about that. I don't know why, but this look has always reminded me of the Kate Spade Barbie doll. I think it's the color palette and the floral motif, and again the hair, they have the exact same hair. While Jenna's outfit does have a softer and more subdued aesthetic compared to the boldness of the Kate Spade Barbie, there is an undeniable connection between the two, like they could be sisters. Jenna wears a Moschino Spring 2003 dress. I believe the inclusion of the Chanel bag in Jenna's look adds an element of luxury and sophistication, which is a defining characteristic of this version of Jenna. Throughout the film, Jenna's fashion choices have evolved to reflect her growth and transformation. The presence of these more prestigious heritage brands such as Louis Vuitton, Hermes, and Chanel in the latter half of the film symbolize Jenna's transition to a more poised and mature version of herself. And let's talk about the hair ribbon. In the original script, Matt had given her this pink ribbon for her hair. Unfortunately, this did not make it into the final script of the film. But I do find it endearing that Jenna wears a pink ribbon reminiscent of the one that Matt was supposed to have given her. It signifies her embracing the things that she had previously rejected and again reconvening with the younger version of herself. Okay, so this is such an important look for the film. At this point in the movie, Jenna and Lucy have presented their pitches to Richard, and because of Lucy's anger with Richard's preference for Jenna's pitch, she takes matters into her own hands and presents Jenna's design idea to Sparkle, effectively stealing the job that the older version of Jenna from this timeline had set up for herself. This turn of events effectively dashes any hope of a Sparkle redesign. It's worth noting that Lucy is once again dressed in colors associated with Jenna, namely blue and purple. Lucy's wardrobe in the film mirrors her emotional state and journey, sometimes reflecting her insecurities, notably in particular scenes where she dresses like Jenna. In other moments, Lucy tries to maintain a sense of individuality and stay true to her own identity. However, in this scene, Lucy's choice of colors imitate Jenna's style. This serves as a visual representation of her failed attempts to forge her own path, ultimately resorting to stealing Jenna's ideas and job. Jenna, on the other hand, has fully embraced a more refined, down-to-earth aesthetic, aligning perfectly with her vision for Poise magazine. While I appreciate this outfit, I can't help but feel that it lacks a touch of glam and is almost too pulled back, especially considering this was meant to be the outfit that she wore for the magazine pitch. But Jenna still stays true to her signature style by incorporating elements such as florals and burgundy. But I do wish that they had driven this point home a bit more by putting her in a color that we are more accustomed to seeing her in, like pink or purple. However, in the final scene of the film, they did put her back in blue with pink Converse. This in itself is a nod to Jenna's journey of self-discovery and reclaiming her inner child, which I did very much appreciate. The inclusion of the pink Converse in particular draws a connection to her past with the 6 chicks and not being included in that group. It serves as a reminder of the person she used to be and how far she has come in forging her own path. The final outfit encapsulates the message of the film, urging viewers to embrace their true selves and reclaim the joy and innocence of their inner child. Thank you for watching and staying with me to the end of the video. And since you're here, you might as well subscribe. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.